Bob, in 1937, where did you live?
In Bellevue, Kentucky.
In Bellevue, Kentucky.
In Bellevue. I was a little over 10 years old at the time.
10, that was going to be my next question.
Oh, okay.
10 years old.
10 years old.
And in 37, as a 10-year-old, when did you begin to realize that there was trouble?
Trouble? Well, I guess when you kept hearing the rain and listening to the thing on the radio and that, they kept coming up with weather forecasts. My grandmother lived in Newport at 8th and Patterson, and she had a dry goods store. So myself and my dad and uncles and cousins, we went down there to try to move her dry goods from the first floor up to the second floor. The previous floods never got that high. But by the time the flood got done, and she had 3.5 feet on the second floor of her house, so we went down after the waters went down, picked all the dry goods, the bulk goods and all this stuff, yard goods, threw it out the window down in the yard, and trucks would come along and scoop it away. And she had these great big wood cases in the drugstore, in her dry goods store, where we used to keep like thread and seam binding and stuff like this. I got the job of sanding all these wood things down these shelves, and there wasn't any such thing as a power saw. You got a piece of sandpaper, and that was it. You just did it with muscle power. It took me, I don't know how many days to sand these things down, because they were all warped, all the shelves.
When you walked into your grandmother's place,
yes,
paint a picture for me, paint a word picture of what it looked like and what it smelled like.
It smelled terrible. The mud was about that thick on the floor and on the walls, and you'd had very little water pressure, so you more or less took a broom and a scraper of some type to scrape it up off the place. We just swept it out the door. But it took months for the place to get smelling right again, because the dampness just permeated the walls. You had a brick house, and the walls were about 15 inches thick. Her house luckily did not wash away. If you had a frame house, most of them got washed off. Because I rode around on my bicycle after it was over, like through Dayton, Kentucky, and you get down around 3rd Street and 4th Street in Dayton, there'd be a whole block, there wouldn't be a house standing. All you saw was just empty foundations. The houses were just washed off. And the closer you were to the river, the more damage there was, because the current was greater and everything else.